Aaron Judge returns from his hip injury. I don't know if Aaron Judge is going to be healthy all season with this hip injury. When you hear a hip injury, it means surgery. You remember with the Yankees a couple years ago with Alex Rodriguez, his final few seasons with the New York Yankees, you heard a hip problem. Now, Aaron Judge is not doing steroids. Alex Rodriguez was, and he was shooting himself in the hip. But when you hear a hip problem like this, his power comes from his hips, comes from the lower part of his body, his legs. And when you're hearing a hip and there's a lot of torque in his hip, it only spells more IL stints. I don't know if that's going to happen. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Hopefully he gets a little hot when it gets warmer out and hits 13 home runs in a month. That's what you expect. Giancarlo comes back and they go on a home run spree. Hopefully it happens. But in this American League East, the hardest division in sports, it's not even close. Baltimore, as good as they are and young as they are right now. The Blue Jays with that roster, that pitching staff now. The Tampa Bay Rays, the best team in baseball. The Boston Red Sox, who are young but figuring out that they need to build through their farm system, not bring in overpaid, overpriced players. And then there's the Yankees, who could be the best out of all of them when healthy. But Carlos Rodon, their winning pitcher, has not pitched one game, one inning, one pitch so far since he's been a Yankee. And that's scary. Luis Severino's coming back. Nestor Cortez isn't the same pitcher he was last year, which we expected. The only guy that has pitched well is Gerrit Cole. You want to call him Kermit? You can call him whatever you damn well please. He's the best pitcher in baseball as far as I'm concerned. He had one bad game. His last start, it didn't look good, but he's 5-0. He has a 2.22 ERA, a 1.07 whip. How many pitchers? Maybe the Cubs pitcher is the only one that has something close to him right now.
Yeah, I think Shane McClanahan with the Rays, too, is the only other one that's close.
He's going to be up for a Cy Young in the American League this year. There's no question that he is. But they need to get healthy. 14 injuries right now. They have all these youngsters up. Pereza and Volpe. Volpe's starting to figure things out. That's a good sign for the Yankees. Dominguez could be up a lot sooner than later. This roster needs reinforcements, but Aaron Boone has kept the troops over 500. As long as Aaron Judge can stay healthy and Giancarlo gets back into this lineup will figure things out. I think they could still win the division or at least be one of the wild card teams.
Yeah, and you mentioned Alex Rodriguez versus Aaron Judge. Alex Rodriguez, at the end of his career, I think also was more of a DH, whereas Aaron Judge, they're trying to use still as an outfielder because of Stanton, because they have to use Stanton as a DH when he's been healthy because of all his injuries. So there's a big difference there. Obviously, they brought in Bader to try to make sure that Judge doesn't play as much center field, and we've seen the Yankees rotate him out of center field even when Bader was hurt, too. That's helped him to an extent, but yeah, you're right. A hip injury like that is definitely concerning. A guy that has good opposite field power, a guy that has tremendous bat speed, too, for somebody his size, too. That could be definitely something that could wear out over time. So Aaron Boone is going to have to manage that accordingly, even with him coming back now. But again, with all the other injuries the Yankees have, they have to try their best to be able to balance it out between still trying to win at this point, just weather the storm for the time being to stay alive in this division that has been loaded all season long. It's on a record-setting pace right now for an individual division.
As far as the New York Mets are concerned, Max Scherzer does not look like he's going to be healthy this year. And I've been telling you, Met fans, when they brought him in, they overpaid him. He is on his way out. And the same thing with Justin Verlander. He is a little bit better right now than Max Scherzer, but not much. And Verlander's been fighting injury already early this season. This pitching staff is old. This roster is young. The pitching staff is old. I don't know what this rotation is, and I don't know what this rotation is going to be as the season slowly moves to the middle around the All-Star break. The questions will be asked, where do they go at the trade deadline if this team is a playoff-bound team? And how much do they have to give up to bring in another pitcher, which they're very expensive. So I don't think the Mets are in a very good position. They're not winning. They're not getting the pitching that they need, and they're not hitting, which has been a big problem. Pete Alonso has been hitting, but slowly but surely in the last week, he's slowed down. And Lindor is not doing much either. So if you're a Met fan, you shouldn't and you can't be happy. They are healthy. That's something to say. That's something that you don't usually talk about where you say, hey, the Mets are healthy, but they are healthy. So that's a good sign. But if you're a Met fan, you shouldn't be happy right now with the way this roster is playing.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern with the approach that the Mets had this offseason, not going enough after pitching depth and young pitching in general. Now, their bullpen has done a nice job to an extent, but again, if their starting pitching is going 4 innings, 5 innings, that's where they're going right now. If they're not going more than that on a consistent rate, it's going to be very hard. And they're doing it against bad teams, too. Granted, one of those series was the Braves, but they're losing against the Nationals. They're struggling with the Reds. Like, these are not teams these pitchers are having issues with.